costs and things like that, I think going to get and before I answer that, one of the things I think we need to do is revitalize existing businesses. Get out of their way. I mean, we've got a lot of folks here that are just trying to make it. I mean, I run a small business and I'm keeping the lights on, and that's it. I basically consolidated to the point where I can still perform work, but there's nothing else going on with marketing or anything like that. So we have to help those folks. Then if you look at bringing people here, I would much rather see our county dollars in the travel expense area be spent going with a group of folks, a couple business leaders, maybe we're going to get into issues of finance and ethics, but maybe the business leaders fund their own way to get there. As long as they have no business before the county and they don't lobby the county, but maybe some of the greatest minds here in Broward County go with a couple of the elected officials on a trip. The county would obviously have to fund the elected officials, but I'd rather see the county dollars be spent trying to go get something that's going to be productive for Broward County than go to a League of Cities event or make somebody mad and everything. But just go to a get together in Las Vegas or maybe down in at Ocean Reef Club in the Keys. It makes no sense to me to go get together as government officials because you really can't talk about anything because of sunshine, with your own members. But I'd rather see us go out and actively use whatever dollars we have after we've cut our own budgets, which by the way they won't do. I'd like to see whatever dollars that are there spent on productive business trips.
So I take it out of that long answer that you're saying that you want the private sector to do that as opposed to the county. So I'm still trying to get.
I don't.
County money effectively.
I don't mean to be vague, Doug. I would say both. County's going to have to put a little bit of travel expense up to send somebody on a trip. But number one, you don't stay at a 4-star hotel. Number two, you don't fly first class. You go do it on a budget. You stay. The county commission. And I'm just going to deal with the race I'm in. Mayor Keachel's out of touch. These campaign trips, you can call them whatever they want. You fly first class and you stay first class in San Francisco to go get a check for $5 grand. That's not a campaign event. You can do that in your backyard. The county, unfortunately, being mired in that, is spending money the same way. I mean, we saw Commissioner Wexler say that, where is your cut? Where are your cuts? 380 went from 377 to 379 in a county office budget for a county commissioner. I mean,
I understand all that, Chip. I'm just trying to get an idea from you. How would you, as a county commissioner, go about getting business bringing business into Broward County without spending money to do it?
We're going to have to. We'd have to spend. You have to spend a little bit to. You're going to have to spend a little bit of money to make money. But my point is, you do it as economically and cost effectively as possible, and you involve the private sector, the business sector, if you will, in that. I mean, if you.
You don't think that's being done?
I think the Broward Alliance and some other groups are doing a great job, but the mayor came back at me with that the other night. So I'm part of the Broward Alliance. Obviously, you don't know anything about it. I do. I know the folks there. They do a great job, but you know what? We need to do other things too. We need to improve upon maybe not what they're doing, but try something different. I mean, everybody always says, "Well, that's being done." I have a hard time believing. Maybe it's optimism, but I have a hard time believing that a company that's based in an area that is more of a taxing and impact on families wouldn't want to come to South Florida. I mean, I've been here my entire life. I went away for a short period of time and couldn't wait to get back here. It's so.
I hear you. Let me ask one other thing, because I'm trying to get a clear definition from you of when you say that you want county government to get out of the way. Give me some specific examples of where the county government is in the way and what they should specifically do to get out of the way. I don't know what that phrase means.
Okay. Well, it's a good political catchphrase, I guess, right? You look at some of the things that they do on a local level with cities. We're always fighting this home rule issue. Well, if your city's running well and they're dealing with the business on a local level, then it's probably not an issue. But many more of the cities are on the other side of this. County fees, impact fees that affect the new business registering here. One of the things, and again, you're always, when you say something, there's an effect and a counter effect, and this probably goes towards the property appraiser who happens to be making some good cuts and doing an effective job right now. But the business sales tax on your desk that sits in your office, if you own a business, you pay business sales tax. That furniture you depreciate it over time. Why do we pay? If we go to Office Depot and buy an office full of furniture, pay 6% sales tax on it, goes to the state. The state distributes their funds. to the counties. Why do we have to pay the county every year for that equipment you have in your office? You know, that's a very minor example, but you know, it's an impact on a small firm, a real estate agency, an architect or engineering firm, or a contracting firm, or you know, consulting firm of any sort. So I think little fees here and there like that are things I'm talking about. I mean, people are. One of the things, and I don't want to be too long-winded, one of the things that people look at is that it was pointed out that 97% of the county falls within municipalities' residents. Mm-hmm. So we need to define, if we're really not taking care of people, separate from the facilities and all that, if we're not taking care of being their government of the people, residence-wise, if you will, then we need to really define what we're going to do at the airport, the seaport, and all that. And we've talked about it, and it seems like issues become debates and nothing gets done. The hotel was a perfect example.
Well, let's say that you make a good case with that example about the fees, and you go through the budget and you find enough of those to get rid of. How do we make up the money in on the revenue side from the loss of from those eliminations? I mean, if you started far enough to see where you would get the money, because the county's broke. I mean, they don't have where do they get the revenue from to offset this cuts?
Well, we're gonna get an ideological conversation here, but basically, I think if ABC Real Estate Company isn't paying that tax on their desks, they may be able to buy another desk and put another realtor in there, or whatever the need is. I'm not going to pick an industry, but whatever the need is, if you have a room full of draftsmen and architects, if you're not paying that fee and you can save yourself $100,000 in a year or 2 years, you can put another architect in there and get somebody back to work. And the revenue, Doug, is going to come from putting another person in that office because they don't have to pay the sales tax on furniture. I mean, this is a very small example, but that person's going to go buy a house, or they're going to relocate here from somewhere else, or they're just out of school. They're going to have a job. They're going to go to Publix. They're going to go to City Furniture. They're going to go to buy a car at Maroney, and they're going to do whatever we do as we grow up as families here. I mean, it's going to be another stream of income from another person.
Let me get off the ideological stuff and just ask one last question on this. You mentioned the sheriff and the importance of public safety. Do you support the idea that he should, get a certain amount of money from the county and let him devise his own budget as opposed to this constant back and forth that we're seeing now between the county commissioners and the sheriff? And I guess with the rest of the constitutional officers. What's your thought on that?
Well, first of all, they should all be nonpartisan. There's nothing partisan political about somebody who takes care of us in the public safety area. Nothing partisan about the property appraiser's office. So I mean,
there's something partisan. You got a bunch of Democrats arguing among. You think if there was a Democratic sheriff, it would be different?
You know what? I think you know my answer to that. But what I would also say is I would like to go in there as the only Republican and make one of my first agenda items, getting this on the ballot to make the county commission, entire county commission, nonpartisan, because it's.
Well, let's go back to.
Well, I just answered the political part of it, but as far as their budget, I'd like to say that I've got a lot of faith and trust, and I don't say that because I am working with him at the level of where my county commissioner is working with the sheriff now. I say that in watching what he's done, the 687 jobs that have been cut, the stockade that's been closed, the $139 million that's already been cut. I think eventually you look at a budget and you look that it can't be cut anymore. So that being priority, I think he's done what needs to be done there. Having said that, that may not be the case in some of the other departments. I know Lori Parrish has cut quite a bit. And go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think the constitutional officers should be just allocated a bunch of money, let them make their own budgetary decisions, or do you prefer the system as it is now?
Well, I don't think anybody, no matter where it is, whether it's your house, your business, or your place of worship, should be just handed a bunch of money. That kind of synchronized with last year's bunch of money. I mean, I think we should go back to zero every year and say, what do we need? Do zero-based budgeting. I mean, there may have been capital expense in the sheriff's budget last year where we had to buy a helicopter. Well, actually, we know we bought a helicopter. So I don't think they should just get a bunch of money and spend it as they see fit, because that's going to lead to wasteful spending as well. But what I do think is that those zero-based budgets should come back to the county. I mean, as our structure is, those constitutional officers report back to the county. So I do believe they still should have some accountability at the county commission level. But But if we know these dollars are being spent wisely, we can't just go back to them and say, well, you need to cut another 14%. I mean, Lori Parrish has made her case extremely well as far as what she's cut. And, here we are, and it's unfortunate for Dr. Snipes' office, but, they probably won't have that building built. But guess what? It's a savings of those dollars, and in better times, maybe we'll put 2,000 people to work and build that building and have that structure. But right now, it can't. That's a perfect example of what can't be done in bad times. So I think you give them the responsibility of their budget, but ultimately they're accountable. But it goes back to me. It all goes back to priority. You can't say everybody can't say, well, I can't cut out of my budget, because this is the game we saw when the commissioners talked about their own budgets, and we know that Mayor Keachel spent almost $5,000 on stationery. Kristen Jacobs spent $6,200 on stationery. It's paper. Print it out on bond paper and run it through your printer, and that's it. I mean, that's an example where everybody wanted to pick on the other person, and I know exactly who they were picking on. They said, well, you got this new young fella in here, and he's got no real experience, and he's getting paid more than my staff, and my staff is much more qualified. Well, they don't know that young guy who's working as a top level county legislative aide or chief of staff. He may be the most qualified person there. We don't know, but it was the debate back and forth, and it was the insensitivity to each other. I think they all need to cut. If they're going to ask the sheriff to cut, ask Parrish and everybody else to cut, they should cut their own budget first. Before they cut a bus route, cut your own budget, and that's something I've said before, and it's important to me that a check for $12,885 will be given to the county, as long as I can get everybody else to agree to it, and I think I could probably get a few people to agree to it. We get, county commissioners get paid too much. So, I mean, the cuts have to start at the top and go all the way.
What departments do you think would look at for cuts?
Well, we can do some consolidating. I had an idea, and of course, once you put an idea out there, it becomes everybody's idea. I put a plan out, and I'm waiting. I checked my county mayor's website for a plan, and still not one there. But I think one's going to be coming up soon. I think an area that can be, we always think about cutting, and that's part of the problem, and that's why I said that we need to bring more revenue here. The property. Somebody had a great idea. It's not my idea, but I'll explain it. They said the property where the 4-story city main library is. It's a great piece of property. In better times, maybe a Terry Stiles or somebody who is proficient in building large buildings here could have put a 20-story residence with a parking garage built into it, and the first 4 floors would be our Broward County Public Library, which would basically be rebuilt at no cost. It would be on land that somebody else pays taxes on. All that, it could be residence is probably a bad example. Maybe office space. So all these businesses are paying rent. They're paying CAM. That's paying Lori Parrish's office. It's paying this office, that office. It's paying for water and sewer utilities. I think we need to think out of the box and try to use what we have rather than saying, well, we just have to look around here for cuts. I mean, something we did in Lighthouse Point. And small example. All of our department heads took a salary this year the same as last year.
All right. If you win, one of the issues you may have to deal with is hiring a new seaport director. Phil Allen has said that he's looking to retire at some point, probably within the next 4 years. And who knows, maybe another airport director.
Right.
How do you, what qualifications would you be looking for? Were you looking for somebody in the mold of the folks we have running those facilities now? Are you looking for somebody more?
I think Phil Allen, in particular, has done a very good job at during some very tough times.
Right.
The issue, even though we could say it's not in his area, that hotel issue, other issues, the expansion, the 20-year master plan, I think he's done well. I would look for somebody who has experience with the port, with a large seaport. I'd love to see that person come from here. I mean, I always want to look to see people. I mean, when you promote here in the Sun Sentinel, you want to promote within. I'd like to promote within Broward County. Now this is, of course, if Mr. Allen decides he's going to leave. But that being said, we have, that's one of our biggest areas that we can expand Broward's economy. We can cut a deal with the cruise industry that says you bring these people down not on a Saturday morning, have them shuffled from the airport right to the front door of the boat, from the port. And get on the boat, go on the cruise, spend their money on the cruise, come back and fly out of here. Let's bring them in a day and a half earlier. Work with the hotels down the beach. God knows we got enough new luxury hotels. Cut a deal with them that, look, take 75% or 50% of your normal rate and give it, work with the cruise industry. The restaurants could be in part of this. I mean, there could be a Broward tourism card, and you fly here at a better rate. You get on, you go over to the W or one of the hotels there on the beach.